Paper 1, question 16. The normal price of a television is reduced by 30% in a sale. So you have your normal price, the sale happens where you have a 30% reduction, and then you have your sale price. Sale price and normal price. You don't have to annotate that like I've done there, but hopefully it'll kind of explain what's going on in this question better. So the normal price of a television is reduced by 30% in a sale. The sale price of the television is £350. So the sale price is £350. Work out the normal price, which is this. Okay? So what's happened is you had a normal price, 30% has been taken away from it, and you end up with £350. Okay? Now, the biggest mistake that people would do is they'd find 30% of that and add it on. But the problem was, when you did this 30%, it was of a bigger number. So when you find 30% of this, technically, even though you found a 30%, it isn't that 30%, and it's not going to be as big. So when you add this, if you add 30% of that back, you won't get the same answer, okay? What to do is, this is a classic backwards percentage question. So whenever you have, in general actually, a backwards question, do the opposite of what you would have done if it was a forwards question. So if you had a number here, and if this makes it easy for yourself, pick a number and find 30% of it, what would you do? Now, when you are reducing by a certain amount, or increasing by a certain percent, you would work from 1. So you would find the percentage multiplier of this thing, which in this case is 0.3, and because you're reducing by 30%, that means that you have a 0.7 is what's going to come from it. So your 0.7, you would then multiply by this value to get this value. So if 0.7 is what you would multiply by to go from your answer, the answer you haven't got yet, to £350, then in order to go back the way, you have to do the opposite. You have to divide by 0.7. Okay? So in order to answer this question, you're going to have 350 divided by 0.7. Now, I have wrote it like that for a reason. You don't have a calculator here to just go and type that in and get your answer, alright? And you're dividing by a decimal. Don't write this out using the divide sign. It makes it harder to visualize and change the look of what's actually going on. A division, which is always easier to deal with as a fraction. Beautiful thing about fractions, top and bottom, you can multiply and divide by whatever values you want to simplify it or to make it look nicer. You could even make it uglier if you want, but the fact is that you can change the look of a fraction without changing the size of the sum itself, which is 350 divided by 0.7. You never have to divide by decimals, because what you do is you change the look of that fraction so the decimals disappear. To make 0.7 not be a decimal anymore, times by 10. As long as you make sure you do the same to the top, otherwise it'll become out of proportion. 350 times 10, 3,500. 0.7 times 10, 7. 3,500 divided by 7. Should hopefully be able to do that in your head. 500